Stages on the path. Stage 1, there must be something more. Entry onto the path, very often it's preceded with the sense that there must be something more. Feeling of being incomplete and that something is not quite right, but what that is very hard to define with words. It's as if there is a thirst that has arisen from a deep place within where none of the normal pastimes and pursuits seem to quite do it. Or an itch that just cannot be scratched by life in the normal sense. Even just accepting this feeling of a thirst for knowledge is there can activate a set of circumstances that lead ultimately to its quenching. Many people at this stage, when they haven't quite got on the path, experience all kinds of synchronicities, meaningful dreams, signs and intuitions pointing to the path and confirming that yes, there is something more and we must pursue it as a matter of some urgency. Stage 2, getting on the path. The next stage, typically as we feel the thirst for something more, the way to fulfill that thirst synchronistically and magically appears in our life. Perhaps it's a teacher or a master or a practice or a community. Many people try out all kinds of different methods and practices. Some people take medicine like ayahuasca, San Pedro or Cambo and have profound awakening experiences doing so. Others may engage in different kinds of meditation practices to see if it suits them. As soon as possible, it is recommended to find your method, your practice, your teacher, and to commit to that in earnest and make the experience of peace your number one priority in your life. Those that fall away and those that keep going. What is the difference between the two types of people? I have noticed that the ones who maintain the journey on the path to truth have an altruistic aspect in their intention and aspiration. They want to become free so that they may free others. They want to become clear that they may help others. These are the ones whose progress is blessed and unstoppable. Stage 3, who am I? There is a stage on the path before it has become clear who I truly am, where I identify as spiritual and in so doing I measure myself against others, who is more spiritual. This is a very dangerous time, although it doesn't necessarily appear that it is. Everything may be going very well, I may be having my service, doing my practice and having experiences, but I am very pleased with myself and conceit and pride can develop. I am not the thinker. Identifying as the thinker keeps us locked in a barren world. Identifying as the mind, we have a life experience where there is minimal love, joy and no peace. What joy and love there is arises at the direction of the internal dialogue that evaluates everything and orders our appropriate emotional response. We don't realize how it is. Our thoughts arise, we think they are a direct response and reflection of reality, and so we believe them and allow them to construct our identity and the reality from which we live. All of our suffering comes through one portal, and that is the portal of thought. Even physical pain can be seen just as a sensation, but it is thought that turns that physical sensation into suffering. There comes a point in deep meditation where one can objectify the thinking process and see that actually thoughts arise of their own accord, given by who we are being in any one moment. Extracting oneself from identifying as the thinker is the beginning of real and lasting liberation, and as such is an important stage on the path. At this stage on the path, it feels like a breakthrough has been made, and now the student knows that it is possible to pull away from the gravity of a mentally based reality and to move into the joy of pure presence. Stage 4, presence. Then, by some grace, that energy that makes what seemed impossible possible, we get a sense of what presence is. Living in our minds, believing ourselves to be the thinker, we never get to experience our presence in this here now. Quantum scientists tell us that matter manifests in one of two ways at its most basic level: either it is a waveform or it appears as particle presence. Amazingly, what creates the difference is observation. It is the same with us. We travel through life as a waveform, traveling from birth to death, but if we self-observe, we have the experience of breaking down into particle presence. At this point, our sense of density dissolves, a sense of solidity and weight dissolves, and we perceive ourselves as an energetic mass vibrating in the now. When we manifest as pure presence, we are whole, complete and fulfilled and at peace. When we are in presence, we emanate, radiate and vibrate. When we manifest as presence, our individual energy field merges with the total energy field of all life, and we realize that we are a part of this fantastic ecosystem, the planet Earth, the universe and all life. Being present is the same as being awake. Living in presence is the life of the awakened. The confidence that arises out of experiencing the self as presence leads us on to the next stage of the unfoldment, which is the recognition of the empty and insubstantial nature of everything within the phenomenal world. Stage 5, emptiness. A very important stage on the path is when we come to realize the empty nature of the phenomenal world and all the structures in it. Along with this, we realize that there is no inherent meaning to life, that it is empty and meaningless. But in a good way. Most people read and receive teachings about emptiness before they realize that it is actually so. For the unprepared mind, the realization that life is empty and meaningless can be quite shocking, because it can be mistaken to mean that there is nothing. If you dream of somebody in the dream, they appear to have meaning, they appear to emanate life and be independent. When we wake up, we realize that they had no independent existence, and the meaning we experienced of them in the dream, we gave them that meaning. In our lives, we do experience things as having meaning and circumstances as having purpose. What we often fail to recognize is that we are the ones assigning that meaning and purpose. When we consciously stop projecting meaning into life and let it be whatever it actually is, we see that it is empty, but strangely the emptiness is filled by wonderful presence. Emptiness means that nothing exists independently from anything else, everything relies on everything else for existence, nothing exists completely independently of everything else. When we see that so much of what we thought was important and meaningful really isn't, and that what is truly important is to be present, for as much of our time as possible, to the truth of what is suchness, the pure presence of life itself, this is coming home, this is waking up.